Today I have a very special guest, someone I love to call a friend in my life, but she's much more than that. She's an author, she's a Canadian, she's an American. She's a Floridian that has traveled all up the coast. She is a mother. She is a grandmother. She's a wonderful wife. She's an actress. She's an educator. She was a professor at Chesapeake College. She's taught young people, and she's taught people that are teaching young people. You've done so much, and I bet you I've missed a million things.
No, I think you did very well.
Well, Lynn, thank you for coming to the show today.
Well, I'm just thrilled to be here.
Yeah. So today we're talking about your book.
Yes.
You wrote a book. It's behind the Brussels sprouts on the TV.
Yes.
We have it here with us. But much more than selling the book, we wanted to kind of talk about the concept of the book.
Right.
So this book is for parents. It's for grandparents. It's for anyone that might be in child education, I'm assuming, right?
Mm-hmm.
So tell us a little bit about the book and why you wrote it.
Well, for about 30 years, I had notes and thoughts. And being a parent of 3 boys, I had 3 boys in 4.5 years, while my husband was in medical school. So it was pretty much me doing it. I made every mistake known to man. I did this for a living. I knew about children.
Mm-hmm.
And the biggest shock for me was when they didn't go home at 3:30. It's like, what do you mean? What do you mean I've got more stuff to do here? No, So I decided that parents are just not relaxing and enjoying parenting.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't. I wasn't a helicopter parent. I was a hovercraft. I was just everywhere worrying about everything. I'm an only child, so I had no clue what it was like to have siblings. And so I thought, well, why don't I just put down lessons learned and sort of pair them with some of the things that we did in our family, some of the humorous anecdotes and things, because I thought nobody really wants to read a parenting book that isn't entertaining.
Yeah.
And I thought at least the stories will keep them going.
No, they absolutely do. Because I've known you for 20 years. And there was still lots of stuff that I just got to learn about you. And I was like, oh, this is so amazing. I felt like we connected even more.
Yeah.
And you weren't even there. I just got to read your words. But you did such a great job. And I just need to spill the beans on something. I've interviewed lots of people that have written books that have come in. I didn't always read them. I got to be honest. But I read yours from front to back. I finished it last night because I knew you were coming in. And I knew I wanted to know everything you were going to say. But it's an amazing, easy read. And it feels like it's just a friend talking to you. It's not a how-to guide 1, 2, 3, 4.
Absolutely.
Right.
Yeah.
You did a brilliant job with that style.
Thank you.
I'm sorry, I cut you
off.
off. Please,
no. I really wanted it to be a what if.
Yeah.
What if I approached it this way?
Mm-hmm.
I want parents to know they're the expert on their child.
Right.
You know, I know a lot about child development, but I don't know anything about their child. I can give some suggestions. I can give some what ifs, but it really is your journey with your child. And it's interesting because I've learned through the years that everyone is pregnant with 3 children. You're pregnant with the imagined child. Mm-hmm. You're pregnant with the unexpected child, and you're pregnant with the real child when the child comes. But we also have 3 school-age children, and we have 3 adult children, where we imagine that they're going to be like this.
Right.
And then the reality is that they're not. And so we're constantly shifting gears with them. They're born with their own temperament. A colleague of mine once said that your second child and your third child and your other children fill the unoccupied niches that the first one leaves.
That's funny.
And that really does make sense, because people say, well, my second child is completely the opposite of my first child. Well, he's found some niches to fill in. And it's just, there's so much information out there now. There's too much, and we're not parenting from the gut enough. Mm-hmm. And we're competing with electronics for the spirit and minds of our children. And I didn't have any of that. But when we go back to basics, when we go back to the what ifs, you know, we've known about children for a very, very long time. I mean, Martin Luther in the 1600s talked about the school of the mother's lap, and that's where the child learns the most. And I have in the book, I have a page that says, turn this page to see the one thing that will make your child smarter and happier. And you turn the page and there's a mirror.
Yeah.
Because it's you.
Yeah, very clever. Yeah, yeah.
It's not all this stuff and that, you know, the monitoring and all that. I mean, the first time I went to a baby shower and somebody said, this is an electronic baby wipe warmer, I just broke out. I thought it was a joke. You know, life is full of wet baby wipes. We might as well get used to it, you know. And I think in our effort to make the journey through childhood easier for our children, we forget that we really do learn from our mistakes.
Yeah.
And our oopsies.
Yeah, and you did such a good job, because I got to stress too that if you're expecting parent, great book. If you're a parent of someone young, great book. My daughter's now 18. And it was still a great book because there was so much I learned, but you did a great job of, like, a lot of the things that you talked about, I went through. Some of the mistakes that you talk about, like, I saw. I'm like, I'm not alone. And you kind of let people off the hook a little bit for the mistakes that you make, because you're not perfect.
No, absolutely not. And I want, you know, parents to just sort of reflect back on, I mean, we all have our own family values and what we want for our child. And I just, you know, I want parents to celebrate what they've done. That's why at the end of every chapter, there's a blank page.
Yeah, that was really neat.
And that's because when I'm telling the stories about our just crazy Christmases, it would just, I think, trigger in your mind, oh my gosh, we had this happen one Christmas. Write it down.
Yeah.
You know, I never did that, and I wish I had. So I've provided a page for everybody for their thoughts on what's kind of going on. So it's humorous, but it's got some teeth.
Yeah. Oh, for sure.
It's got some teeth to it.
So let's talk about the book a little bit.
Okay.
I want to start because there's something I want you to read. I know you wanted to share. So your book opens with a quote, and if you don't mind reading.
No, I would love to read it. This is a quote from Mother Teresa, and it says, "You will teach them to fly, but they will not fly your flight. You will teach them to dream, but they will not dream your dream. You will teach them to live, but they will not live your life. Nevertheless, in every flight, in every life, in every dream, the print of the way you taught them will remain."
Yeah, it's excellent.
And I think that sums it up. And the greatest joy is when you see your child parent, as a grandparent, you watch your child parenting their child, and you're like, oh, they got it. It's there. They picked it up. It was important. That's a very, very special thing to observe in life.
Yeah, it's very crazy because you don't realize as you're teaching them what they're remembering or what's going to hold.
Absolutely.
You'll never know.
You just throw it out there.
But oh my goodness, my daughter will pull stuff out that I said like 10 years ago or 15 years ago. And she's like, I remember when you said this. Now I do this because of that. I'm like, oh, you weren't listeling.
I know.
Like, because I swore you weren't for 10 years.
Right. Because, I think we're so busy counterbalancing each other, and you say this and then I'm going to say that, and I want to make sure, and the comparison with other children, when we compare and compete, I think that's so difficult. I call it the troubled seas, because I'm a true believer that a child's name should not be on their schoolwork when it's on the wall. Every child knows which picture's theirs.
Yeah.
But it's really hard as a parent not to look at your child's picture and then the one next to it and think, oh my gosh, this one's so much better, or, oh, gee, he didn't really get it. That's comparing. And that's really, really hard to avoid, but it's so difficult on the child, and to me, competitiveness, if a child comes away from playing in a sports game or competing in anything, if they can say, I came, I participated, I enjoyed it, they don't need a trophy.
Yeah. And parents kind of need to learn the lesson too, right? Because you even tell a story about a certain dance class, right?
Yes.
Could you share that story with us?
Yeah. I was with a I was taking a friend's little child, 3.5 years old, to a dance class, and the children all went in with the teacher, and the mothers sat outside and chatted. And one mother was talking about how her child at 3.5 had a pen pal in Rangoon or somewhere, and was going on and on and on. And you could tell. I'm looking because I'm very observant of parents. The other parents are like, "Oh my God, my child doesn't even know his address. He can't even write his name." And so you could just see the angst that was just being, just bubbling up in these poor people. And I just felt so bad for them.
Yeah, and it's just a natural feeling that a lot of
It
parents
is.
have of like, I want them to be as good as
Right.
everyone, and like I want it to be the best ever, and
Well,
it's hard.
I always use the analogy, if I was to say to 10 people, okay, meet me in Central Park at 1 o'clock on Sunday, and I'll give you $100. Some people would leave today. Some people would take a train, some would take a car, some would fly, but they'd all get there. And that's what it is with development with children.
Yeah.
They go at their own pace.
Right.
And so it's really important that we allow them their own pace and not be so worried about, they're not doing this or they're not doing that.
Right.
There's 3 parts to development, and they all work together, and so it's kind of important.
Yeah. Now, we don't want to tell everything that's in the book because we want you to go to Amazon right now and buy it, or we want you to contact Lynn and buy it because you can buy it right now. But there are a lot of concepts in the book. What are some of your favorites? We heard about the 2 C's. We heard some others. What's something else that you want to get the word out?
I like to think about the what ifs.
Yeah.
What if we thought about, instead of discipline, guidance? And some people go, "Oh, that's just such a mamby-pamby word." No, our goal in disciplining a child or guiding a child is that they have self-guidance. We're, believe it or not, are not going to be able to hover around with them their whole life and making sure they don't make mistakes.
Right.
So if we look at it as guidance, then it gives us a little bit more, a broader perspective, and it also helps the child not feel like they live under the iron rod.
Yeah.
And consequences rather than punishment. When you choose to do this, this is what's going to happen.
Yeah, and this concept was one of my favorite things in the entire book.
Yeah.
Because it was huge. Like a turnaround probably midway through when I was parenting, when I realized this also.
Yeah.
But please, share.
No, the consequences. I remember I left my bike out in the rain, and my parents were very upset because the bike got wet. It was going to rust, and they gave me the doom and gloom thing. So my punishment was I didn't get dessert for a week. Oh, it had nothing to do with the bike.
Right.
So consequences, need to be appropriate.
Yes. Yeah.
And they need to be immediate. No more waiting till Dad gets home. And they need to be consistent. If this is going to be the consequence today, then it needs to be the consequence always. If that's how things are going to happen.
Right.
So I think it's really important that we look at it that way. I also like to think about anticipation reduces frustration. I mean, if you think about a situation. I had to fly from Omaha to Florida and change planes in St. Louis with 3 children, ages 6 months, 2.5, and 4.5, by myself. We all wore jumpsuits. We had one piece of clothing on. The older boys had surprise bags, and every half hour they could open something that was wrapped up inside. We made it. And the same thing with going to the grocery store. I had to go to the grocery store every week in Nebraska, in the snow, in the rain, in the sunshine, with 3 children.
Yeah.
So we had an arrangement that they loved cereal. Cereal was like, it was better than dessert.
Marshall? Marshall in the booth right now. Yeah, he's our cereal fiend.
Cereal. So we had a deal that when they were able to walk behind me, because I had two behind me and one in the cart, if they could only look with their eyes and not their hands, then the last thing that they could do was choose their box of cereal. So we go, which we were going to buy anyway. Then they had to hold it while we checked out, and it was the last thing that went on the belt. So they couldn't touch the gum, they couldn't touch the candy. They had the death grip on their cereal. They each got their own bag, and when they were able to not hurt each other and yell at each other on the way home, they could go right in and have a bowl of their cereal.
And so since you started doing that, how many times did they not get the cereal?
Never.
That's awesome.
Never.
That's great.
Never once did they, and they were little. I mean, they were like, I remember one lady said, "What do you say to them? How can they just walk behind you?" And I said, we have an agreement.
Yeah.
But it was very well spelled out, and and I went to the store every week, and I never, I wasn't brilliant. I was just a survivor.
Yeah.
I had to figure out a way to make it work. And so I shared, a lot of those types of things in there so that people could sort of say, well, yeah, that might work.
Yeah. Or maybe they just need to tweak it a little bit, right? Yeah. It's observations that you're writing about.
I mean, it's so what I'm hoping to do is to spark within the parent, number one, confidence.
Yeah.
Number two, taking a deep breath and relaxing. And number three, making it their own.
Yeah.
Make this your own. Make it. But my greatest, and I do all my brilliant thinking in the bathtub. I'm so smart in the bathtub. And it was after my children had grown. If you change one word in the sentence, you change it from a bribe and a threat to an agreement.
Mm-hmm.
You change the word if to the word when. Instead of if you eat your dinner, you get dessert. That's a bribe. When dinner's finished, dessert will be served.
Yeah.
And it works beautifully because what you're doing is you're putting the onus on the child.
Yes.
So the child can make the decision.
Right.
If when I do this, then this will happen. If I choose not to do it, it just simply won't happen.
Yeah, and they're learning consequences, again, you were talking about earlier with punishment.
Yeah, and it gives them a bit of power because I think children sometimes feel very powerless, and then when they were older, we sort of modified it a bit. It was always, can I spend the night with so-and-so? Well, we need to mow the grass. Well, I'll do it as soon as I get home from spending the night. And they come in looking like roadkill. I mean, they just hadn't been asleep all night.
Right.
They had eaten candy all night. They looked awful. And, of course, they didn't mow the yard. And then I would just go. They called it hyperspastic. Oh, she's going hyperspastic. And I would just lose it. So we developed a contract system that if I would write it out, they would sign it, I would sign it, it would go on the refrigerator. When I come home from spending the night, I will mow the grass within 3 hours, and we would sign it. And I put it on the refrigerator. And if they chose, and it was their choice not to honor the contract, then the next thing that came along, whether it was to go spend the night with somebody or go to Bermuda for a week, it wasn't an option. Never once did they break a contract.
It's fascinating.
And it was good for me, too, because it clarified what I wanted.
Sure.
It wasn't just because sometimes parents are kind of nebulous. We say things like, be good. Okay. Am I good at basketball? Am I good at hitting my brother over the head? What does be good mean?
Right. Whatever it is, I'm just going to be good at it.
Or stop doing that.
Right.
We tend to, I certainly said it a million times, but with a contract, it was clear to me what I was asking.
Right.
So I didn't change it when they got home. And I even got requests for contracts in college.
That's awesome.
Yeah, can I have a contract on that? That's how they would start the sentence, and it worked.
And it's great because again, it shows that how much they appreciate it too. Not just you, they appreciate that side of it.
Right. And it was concrete. I mean, it wasn't like, oh, she's going to change it, or dad's going to change it. It was very, very concrete the way.
Do you see that being passed down to the grandchildren at all? Any of these lessons? I mean, they might be, I'm not sure. How old are they?
I have one, and he'll be 20. He's 21 today, actually.
So do you think he gets contracts? Did they do that, or?
Well, he's pretty self-directed.
Oh, okay.
But when they lived in LA, and we didn't get to see him very much, and so we would do videos of us putting him to bed, and videos of us reading to him, and then we did a together book. Which every time we were together, even when he was an infant, we took a picture. I laminated it and punched a hole in it and put one of those big round things. Right. And every night, he and his parents would do the together book.
That's so cute.
And
that's awesome.
And so when he was 3, I went out and it was fine with him, and kidnapped him and brought him to the Eastern Shore for 5 days. And we did it for 11 years.
That's so cool.
It was so great. But when he was about 4, his mother gave me this big list of, don't let him do this, don't let him do this, don't let him do that. And I thought, I do not want to spend my whole time with him, my 5 days for the year, reprimanding him or reminding him. So what we came up with was, he could give us 3 things that he did not want us to do when we were together with him. And we could come up with 3 things we did not want him to do when we were together. And each time we started with a penny, and then by the time he got to be 14, it was a dime. Every time one of us did it, we had to mark it down. And we always owed him money. But I didn't have to spend all my time reprimanding, because he'd start to do something, and I'd say, is that worth a dime to you? And he'd stop.
Oh, that's so cool.
And so it worked out really well. Right. But then he always laughed as he took his money and smiled.
Yeah. He got him again.
I got him every time. They can't resist it.
I'm going to do the 3 things that they do the most. I'm just going to get all the money.
It doesn't work. It doesn't work. That's for sure.
Well, Lynn, your book is packed with so many amazing stories. I was wondering if we could talk about 2 of them.
Okay.
And then they have to read it for the rest.
Okay.
But I would love to hear about your least favorite, the villain that you heard about a lot, which was other people's.
Oh, everybody else's mother. Yeah. Oh, the woman. She was such a saint. And she showed up at our house, at the dinner table, in the car. Well, everybody else's mother lets them do this. And when I'm over there, she treats me like this. I'm like, that's great. She's got you for 12 hours. I've had you for 12 years. There's a big difference. So I decided, and I told them, that for everybody else's mother, I got an everybody else's child. And so when I would hear that, I said, well, everybody else's child's on the honor roll. It's amazing. That woman never darkened our doorstep.
That's good. We got rid of her.
She was gone. But it gave them, because sometimes children forget what it feels like to be on the other side of things. And that gave them a perspective of, ooh, I'm getting compared to somebody else, and that's what I'm doing to my parents when I tell them about everybody else's parent.
And there's also a lesson in empathy there that I know you also talk about a lot in your book.
Oh, yeah. Empathy is huge. Yeah. And empathy doesn't develop until a child is 5. And they really have no clue how the other child feels when they grab that toy away from them. And but empathy can be taught in so many ways. Just watching television, looking at people's faces, all of that is so important in teaching. But empathy is a taught skill. Yeah, it's not innate.
All right, the second story. I warned you I was going to ask you about this. It was the bat story.
Oh,
please share the bat story.
The bat story. I hate bats. I think it's because I know if they got in this hair, they would never come out. And I know, and I'm attracted to bats. I finally find something I'm attracted to, but bats, I can be with 5 people. The bat comes at me.
Yeah.
I mean, terrified of bats. So we lived in the woods. And one night, I just, for some unknown reason, I was coughing, and I thought, well, I'm just going to go sleep upstairs. Left my husband downstairs. The boys are upstairs. And I'm reading, and I'm hearing this thumping sound in the hallway. And I thought, oh, what are the boys doing? So I open the door, and there's a bat. And that's when I realized that I don't scream, I suck in. So I sucked in, slammed the door. My oldest son runs to the door. He goes, what's the matter? I said, go downstairs, tell your father there is a bat up here. It is not the kind you play baseball with. It's the kind that flies around, and tell him to come up here and get rid of it because I'm terrified. So our oldest son goes down. Up comes my husband, and I call him Buana, in his underwear with a tennis racket, and assures me after 5 minutes of swatting around that he's killed the bat, or the bat's gone. So stupidly, I believe him. He goes back downstairs. I shut the door. About 20 minutes later, I hear this scream, and then someone pounding on the door, and it's my son again going, the bat, it landed on my face, let me in. And I said, no. And he goes, no, but Mom, I'm your son. And I said, I know, but it's a bat. And I wouldn't let him in, and I felt terrible. I said, just, is the bat in your room now? And he goes, no, I could go in the room, shut the door, and we'll deal with this tomorrow. But I felt terrible. Luckily, they don't remember that. Well, they didn't remember it. They didn't know a lot of things until they read the book.
You're like, wait, what?
It was like, what? Is that what she did? And the same with the title. They had no clue that that's what we were doing with the Brussels sprouts.
Yeah.
They had no idea until they read the book.
So you got to tell us then. Tell us about the title of...
Well, the title comes from every time we would go and buy Girl Scout cookies or good ice cream or chocolate, we made sure that we always had a box of frozen Brussels sprouts in the freezer. The boys hated Brussels sprouts. And so I would put the box right in the front, and then behind it, I would hide all the good stuff. The good chocolate, the Ben & Jerry's ice cream. They would never move the box. They were terrified. I think they thought the Brussels sprouts would come through the box into their hands, and they would be ruined for life. So that's how was my hidey hole.
Marshall, is that what they do to you? Marshall knows the look. Well, Lynn, I love sitting down and chat with you.
Oh,
I desperately hope people grab this book and read, because it's such a fun read. And it was so much fun getting to learn more about you.
Well,
because after 20 years,
that's
still nice to hear new stories. But before we let everyone go, there was one more quote I know we would like to share. It was on this one? I'm sorry, the one before.
Yeah, the one. Let me see where it is here. Da-da-da-da. This one is actually from Irma Bombeck, and it says, I see children as kites. You spend a lifetime trying to get them off the ground. You run with them until you're both breathless. They crash. You add a longer tail. They hit the rooftop. You pluck them out of the spout. You patch and comfort, adjust and teach. You watch them lifted by the wind and assure them that someday they'll fly. Finally, they are airborne, but they need more string, and you keep letting it out, and with each twist of the ball of twine, there is a sadness that goes with the joy, because the kite becomes more distant, and somehow you know that it won't be long before that beautiful creature will snap the lifeline that bounds you together and soar as it was meant to soar, free and alone. Only then do you know that you did your job.
Excellent.
Yes.
Well, thank you so much. Again, thank you for joining us. Go on Amazon now. Buy the book. We're going to keep talking for an hour, but we'll let them go. We're going to share some more stories. But thanks for joining us. Guys, thanks for watching.
Thank
Go out
you.
and buy the book. And we'll see you next time. And
Yes, thank you.
we'll have to bring you back. We'll talk some more stories.
Yeah, I'd love more. Yeah.